Yes or no? Should WWE bring back these premium live events? Welcome to the channel once again for episode 2 of Yes or No. Myself, Steve, in a hot seat. I'm going to throw 10 premium live event names to NXSteve below me. Some from WWE's past, a couple from WCW as well. And we're simply going to say yes or no. We would like to see Triple H bring these back in some format, potentially Shawn Michaels as well. NXT is doing some throwbacks as well. So we've got 10 classic show names for you. Some are wild, some are wonderful, some probably don't deserve to be anywhere near our lips of being said for a premium live event ever again. But certainly this should be a lot of fun. NXT, thanks for joining the video as always. Let's kick things off with the first one for us here today, which is Taboo Tuesday, or better known to some, Cyber Sunday, which was the show where WWE would give us options and we would vote to see if what match or what stipulation we would want.
Dude, this is the most obvious one of the list. Yes, 100%. The day that the time and era that we live in, where social media is such a massive thing and it's so big, and how they love to boast about how many followers they have across all their social media followings, and like they have the most subscribed YouTube channel for a sports channel. Do you know what I mean? This makes the most sense at all. We know that they're rigged. Like, that's the problem, and I think that's why there is an argument for no in there. But I think if you give them decent options, there's no way they can't. Like, if you, for instance, like I remember some of the match lists being put on there, and it was like some of the names were just really stupid, and you could tell they were rigged. But for example, we all know that a fatal, like a falls count anywhere, or a no holds barred match, they're all kind of the same, really. But if you make them exciting, there is an argument there to bring this back. Yes, I think Taboo Tuesday, Cyber Sunday. Taboo Tuesday, well, that's, I mean, they need to think of a more modern way of doing it, because the pay-per-views are on a Saturday nowadays. So I don't know, like Cyber Saturday might work, but they just need a new name for it. But definitely should bring that idea back.
Absolutely. Well, to be fair, if Triple H was to bring back Cyber Saturday, certainly would have to be the way. Maybe Taboo Tuesday, if it became an NXT special, that certainly could be an option.
Cyber
as
Sunday
well.
works because they do their POEs for the NXT on a Sunday, so it could work on NXT.
It could work certainly for NXT indeed. And like you said there, obviously the way that social media is these days, WWE with that marketing scheme as well is very popular. You could argue when this first started in 2004 that maybe it was ahead of its time. And I think that was back as well in the actual pay-per-view era, when people had to call up. And if you weren't entirely sure what show you were going to be seeing, I can understand why the pay-per-view buy rates were not as strong for Taboo Tuesday and Cyber Sunday back in the day. But we're in a different era now. We have like the network exists. We're on Peacock. We're going to Netflix. We're going to a completely different world. And I don't think buy rate is a thing anymore. I think if you have one of these, places that you can watch WWE, I don't think it stops people from tuning in. I think it's like a tenner a month for people to be subscribed and tuned in. So I don't think it's going to put people off. I think people that do it, they keep it rolling, and they're probably watching all the time. So for me, it's a resounding yes. I think that this one makes a lot of sense. It feels like the fans are involved, and you feel like you're part of the show. Everyone says, I wish I could book WWE. That's your chance to do so. We made Shelton Benjamin the Intercontinental Champion back in 2004. It was amazing.
That was, do you know what? That's the best argument there. The fact that we made Shelton Benjamin champion back in 2004. We probably didn't, but we all like to think that. But dude, totally, like, it's not so much about buy rates. It's all about clicks and likes and interactions. And dude, social media's all the way. And like, you putting out a match across Instagram, Facebook, X, like, all you're going to do is drive up interaction numbers, which is what you want.
Absolutely, indeed. It makes so much sense. It's a yes from us. I said some of these are going to be a bit wild and wacky. Great Balls of Fire.
No, this one's a dud. The name sucks. It makes no sense. There's not even like an idea I can think of, unless we're going back to Choppy Choppy PP as for a reason why we should have the name Great Balls of Fire. Unless we're going with like a Grease, like, musical themed premium live event, there's no reason that name should ever be existed or even be spoke ever again on WWE TV.
would be the one time you could say you're the one that I want. But yeah, not for me either. It's a no. I am not having Great Balls of Fire back. Look, as much as Jerry Lee Lewis is fun as the soundtrack, and they made actually a really good show out of it. Like if you go back to it, Great Balls of Fire is actually a really good premium live event. The name just makes no sense. The whole thing's just stupid. It sucks. And no, Great Balls of Fire should not come back. It's one and done, and it's the way it should remain.
Yep.
Number 3, Judgment Day.
Oh, absolutely. This is the most October era-based pay-per-view name that you should be doing. Like, I know we've just had Bad Blood, but Judgment Day should be the alternative for a Halloween-themed pay-per-view. And like, the name alone sounds spooky in itself. That 100% should be one of the names to come back.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, this is my way of looking at this. While you have the Judgment Day faction, why not have a show named after them? We used to have it all the time back in the day. Rock Bottom was for The Rock. We used to have D-Generation X as an In Your House event. We've had this stuff happen before. I think Judgment Day makes sense. Absolutely. So for me, if they stay together, then absolutely. But if they break up, which actually for the first time in the last couple of weeks now we're actually recording this, starting to think maybe no, but I still think it'd be great for a TV special maybe that WWE could do. But I will stick my neck as Judgment Day is still a thing right now and say yes.
I mean, dude, it could be almost the amalgamation of the faction where it could be their Judgment Day to see if they stick together anymore.
Oh, now we're talking. Trips, if you're watching, book it. We need to see it happen. It's a resounding yes from us. Number 4, Armageddon.
Dude, another great name. Like, you screams chaos, screams like what it should be along the lines of like TLC. Like, it should be just be one of them ones where like you envision just like steel cage matches and street fights, and it should be up there with I forget the name of the other one they recently done last year where they had Extreme Rules. It should be like Extreme Rules, man. It's a quality sounding name. It, like the graphics they used to do for that pay-per-view back in the day, it sounds like a nasty premium live event where some really horrible stuff is going to go down. So absolutely yes for that one.
It was always the December show as well, and obviously we don't really have the premium live event in December anymore. This year we've got Saturday night's main event coming, which I'm really actually looking forward to, so keep that certainly for the time being. But Armageddon, like, I mean, you always just have the song, you know, the end is here, that always used to work for me every time. And like, you know, we had some killer matches. I mean, obviously, who forgets the Armageddon 6-way Hell in a Cell match, for example? I know you have your nitpicks with Rikishi falling off the cage. Yes, it's a push, it's not a choke slam, but still, it's a go-to for a lot of people to go back as a flashback. It's a great memory. Look, we do realize, by the way, quick disclaimer, probably at this point in the video, we should say, we're not saying all these shows, yes, should replace every show we have right now and get rid of everything. We're just saying, as the one, yeah, with alternatives, if there's a spare name, is it a yes or is it a no? We can maybe at the end of the video pick maybe our ultimate favorite of the ones that have been picked, if only one could be selected, just to make this work a bit more. But for me, also, it has to be a resounding yes. Number 5, Unforgiven.
I mean, there is an argument for yes, but again, I don't know. Like, I think I'm gonna say no on this one, just because, like, if you was, for instance, to bring back Judgment Day and Armageddon, Unforgiven almost kind of seems like it should be maybe the alternative name for Bad Blood. I don't know, but I'm gonna say no on this one. Like, I'm trying to think of like how the name would play into a storyline, and I can't personally see it, so I'm gonna say no for Unforgiven.
For me, this one works both ways, because Unforgiven has had some great shows over the years, but it's had a couple of stinkers as well. But it usually fell in September time after SummerSlam, and it kind of would have worked really well this year if they'd done that instead of Bash in Berlin, for example. Because if you look, for example, when Dirty Dom obviously did the Dirty on Rhea and joined with Liv Morgan, you would argue that match they would have done the next month was Unforgiven. You know, there was a way in the way it means to do that match there, and obviously I like it. Obviously, 2006 is one that sticks out in my head with the TLC match, John Cena versus Edge. So I have a bit of a nostalgia for Unforgiven. I know Kurt Angle beat, I think it was Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2001 to win the title as well. So there was some classic moments on these shows. But I kind of feel for you. You start saying yes to a number of them, and you start thinking, well, can't say yes to every single one of them. So I'm going to say no, but I mean, if Judgment Day would have split up, then I might sneak it in the yes category. But for now, I'll stick with no. Moving on to number 6, TLC.
No, it's one of them ones where it's a pay-per-view, it's a match type. It shouldn't have a pay-per-view name. You get it, but the point is you'd have this and there'd only be one TLC match, and it's stupid naming a pay-per-view around one match type.
If we bring this back, there is a risk we get stares added on for a second time. Absolutely not for me. I am of the opinion when it comes to these styles of pay-per-views, you can throw Hell in a Cell in there as well if you like.
Yep.
It becomes the theme of the pay-per-view is around this match, and it's like, well, does the rivalry warrant this match? Sometimes there's a big question mark with that, and I think that sometimes can affect a lot of these shows. TLC used to think I was a lot of fun back in the sort of like late noughties, early 10s, because you would have like the TLC match, you'd have the one ladder match, the one chairs match, the one tables match. It was like, oh, there's a lot of fun gimmick matches, but it is kind of, again, all of the same, because you kind of see the same thing on repeat. I'd rather them spread out over the year, so that rather than having it on one night, you actually got a TLC match maybe a couple of times in the year, a ladder match a couple of times in the year. I think we get about 20 ladder matches now over a course of a year, though, so that's probably overplayed. So we don't need an extra PLE for it for me, so I'm going to say no.
Don't get me wrong, I used to look forward to it because I knew we were getting a TLC match, for example, but like you said, unless you like what Triple H did with Extreme Rules last year, he made every match special to, do you know what I mean? So it defined the pay-per-view. Whereas if you have 7 or 8 matches on a TLC pay-per-view and only one of them's a TLC match, it's stupid. So, like I said, it's just one of them things, unfortunately.
Certainly, indeed. Let's move on then to number 7. And this is a WCW-themed pay-per-view, but of course has not been done since. But WWE have the rights to War Games, for example, so they have done this. So should they bring in World War III? 3 rings, 3 battle royals taking place at the same time, with 20 in each ring, 60 wrestlers in total. They all then get into one ring and then determine the ultimate winner, the World War III match.
It stays in WCW for a reason, because I'll be honest, it sounds like a horrific, just in an idea of building something like that. And like War Games is already kind of funky enough where you've got 2 rings and it's like one match takes place in one ring, one place. If you're doing that with 3 rings, it's overkill for me. So I'm going to say a resounding no to World War III.
As a spectacle, it's really fun to see the look of the arena with the 3 rings. And as a child growing up, I used to be like, oh, World War III, like this is awesome, this is epic. But I've had the opportunity to watch some of these matches in recent years, and I've got to say, they are the most difficult matches to follow in history. It's hard enough. I mean, imagine 60 people coming to the ring to start off with. Thankfully, they don't all have separate entrances, but it's to keep a memory of who's in the match, who goes into what ring. Then you've got 3 different commentary desks to keep up with what's going on in which ring. You can't keep up with who's being eliminated each and everywhere. So it's like, before you know it, half of the field's been eliminated and you've seen about 4 eliminations. It's a very difficult concept to make work.
It's like having 3 Royal Rumbles going on at the same time. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense, and it's so much to keep track of. And like you said, 60 entrants, man. You're looking at an hour just on entrances alone.
There's the question, is there too much of a good thing? And in this circumstance, yes, there is, because it becomes where it's not a good thing anymore. I haven't seen a good World War.
I'll tell you what, though. It's a good way to get everyone on the card, though.
Everyone gets a payday at least. So for that, you would say yes, but I think final answer for me has got to be a no.
Yeah, definitely a no for me as well.
Let's do one more WCW name then as number 8, because this one is rich with tradition. If you go back to 1983, going all the way to the year 2000, it is Starrcade.
See, now I like the sound of the name. I had the same problem with this with Unforgiven. I'm going to say yes just on the name alone, because the name is steeped with history. It's just how you make it special. And I think that, for me, this almost feels like this should be NXT instead of Stand and Deliver. This should be their WrestleMania pay-per-view name, Starrcade. This sounds special, this. And like the fact that it sounds special alone, I think is the reason why I'm going to say yes.
I love the addition for NXT, and instead, because I've never been a person for stand and deliver. I don't know what it is that don't connect with the name so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a shame that's on WrestleMania weekend, and I always feel like myself, what could be a name that could replace that? And now you just say it's Starrcade. Yes, Starrcade used to be the December show, used to be just after Christmas, but I think now it's in WWE's hands. They could do what they want with it, and NXT, I think for WrestleMania weekend, I think will be a perfect placement for it. Starrcade is rich with history, going back to 1983. Ric Flair winning, obviously, Flair for the gold, beating Harley Race. You've got some other classic moments through Starrcade history. Ric Flair against Vader in 93. Obviously, the infamous Sting versus Hogan in 97, which, let's be honest, is the first nail in WCW's coffin, but we'll forget about that. There was some classic, iconic moments through Starrcade. WWE has brought it back as a house show network special in the, I believe, the 2010s, but for me, I'd like to see it come back as a proper show. I just couldn't figure out quite where, but now we hear the words NXT. It's a yes for me.
Yeah, dude, like I said, it's the fact the word star is in there, that alone is a precipice to make it special. And if you're going to do it on any weekend through the year, it should be WrestleMania weekend. So I think it should replace Stand and Deliver.
Absolutely. For me, it is getting a resounding yes, yes, yes. Right then, number 9, we mentioned NXT. Obviously, former NXT superstar was Bron Breakker. And back in the day, we used to have in your house shows, and one of them was called Beware of Dog. Something that is on Bron Breakker's ring attire. Would you like to see this show make a return? I think this one's going to be pretty obvious.
Oh, because it's themed around one person, and unless the guy is the face of the company, it's okay for a one-off, but not for a concurring pay-per-view name.
We just said there, obviously, one-offs kind of work. Obviously, Beast in the East for Brock Lesnar's there, but we mentioned as well The Rock had Rock Bottom, and we mentioned about, and that's why I said it could work for Judgment Day. So I can't go against the nudge of that working for a superstar if the pay-per-view is right. But for me, Beware of Dog is just a bit of a random name. I don't know who thought of that as an idea. There's some really weird in your house names at the start of this, but it just felt like this one was appropriate for this episode as Bron Breakker was currently on the WWE roster. But for me, it's a resounding no.
Definitely a no.
Last but not least, then, number 10. And we're going back to old classic Attitude Era style PLEs. No Way Out.
I'm going to say no again because it gives me the feel that if this was a pay-per-view name, every match should be like Hell in a Cell, cage match, casket match, buried alive. Like, it could work, but the problem is that if it's going to be a concurring pay-per-view, you're going to have the same 4 match types every year, which kind of like, I think it takes away from it because it's like, all right, well, who's going to be in the casket match this year? Who's going to be in the buried alive match this year? Because the name just sounds like you're trying to escape from something, and like all those match types fit it. But I just think as a recurring pay-per-view, I'm going to say no.
Interesting stuff indeed, because you actually make a really good point. You've almost made it seem like the TNA's Lethal Lockdown, almost the lockdown pay-per-views there where every match was in the cage. But for me, I'm going to turn and say, whilst you make a good argument, there was one match type you didn't mention, and this was the birth before it became the PLE name. It is Elimination Chamber. Always No Way Out was that one between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania for the nostalgic fans. And Elimination Chamber made its way, I want to say, around 2007, 2008 area, and then it became No Way Out, was based around Elimination Chamber from there onwards. And for me, I don't know, I just prefer it rather than a show being called Elimination Chamber. I know the reason why WWE do it. I know, because Elimination Chamber is the name of the match. When people hear it, they say that's why I'm going to tune in. When you hear No Way Out, you can get what NXSteve just said. You can say, is it casket? Is it buried alive? Is it normal cage? No, it's the Elimination Chamber. But for me, I like this show name. I remember some of them were brilliant even before Elimination Chamber came into it. So for me, I don't care, I'm biased. It's yes from me.
So you make a very good compelling argument, but I have a counter, because where does Elimination Chamber normally sit on the calendar? It's right between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I think that pay-per-view should actually be renamed to Fastlane because they're on the road to WrestleMania. And I don't like the name Fastlane, but it makes all the sense in the world to replace the name Elimination Chamber because they're on the road to WrestleMania.
Interesting stuff indeed, because actually make a really good point. You've almost made it seem like the TNA's Lethal Lockdown, almost the lockdown pay-per-views there where every match was in the cage. No, it's the Elimination Chamber. But for me, I don't like the name If we have to do that, I prefer Roadblock, but that's just me. I've never been a fan of.
To be fair, that's a good shout as well. Fastlane or Roadblock, they're both, like I said, they're both equally Road to WrestleMania-esque type names that could easily do it. So, dude, I'll take Roadblock as well. But I get what you're saying. I totally agree with the idea of Elimination Chamber. I was hoping you'd throw Fastlane out because this was my whole argument, but now you've said No Way Out. The argument is good, but I'm still going to say no because I know I said extreme rules. You can have a cage match. You know what I mean? You can have a Hell in a Cell match. You can have an Elimination Chamber extreme rules. But like No Way Out, it all feels like it should be, like you said, lethal lockdown. Everything's inside a cage, and I'm like, the Elimination Chamber match in itself for an in-house crowd is very, very awkward because you can't see nothing. And I think, like, I don't know, like I said, I'm trying to make a decent argument why it shouldn't be that name. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to stick with Roadblock or Fastlane to replace it.
I think that we found ourselves in episode 2 with Roadblock and Fastlane. There's more shows that WWE could bring back. So if you've enjoyed this, make sure to let us know. There could be a second version of this particular video. Just should WWE bring back these PLE names? But for you, you said you've made a good, compelling argument. It's a no from you, but I'm sticking with yes because I'm a nostalgic person and I like my No Way Out and I want my No Way Out to come back. I remember 2009 especially is probably my favorite No Way Out just because of the fact that there are the 2 chamber matches, the two championship matches where Edge went in the first match, lost the title in about 5 minutes, and then went and got himself in the last match and won the other championship on the road to WrestleMania. So for me, it's a big time yes. But I tell you what, there's a final question. Of all the names that we've gone through on this video, what is the biggest yes of all? If you could only have one of these names back.
I don't know, because I made a really good compelling argument for Starrcade, but I'm like, I think for me, the one that makes the most sense is Taboo Tuesday or Cyber Sunday, because from a business perspective, and they want that engagement and they want all those interactions, from a business point, Cyber Sunday, Taboo Tuesday, plus it would be fun for the fans if we knew it wasn't fixed as well. If we could genuinely get, we could see, I suppose, when you do a poll on Twitter, you can see the answers. If they show you the genuine result on X or Facebook or whatever they use, I think it makes it a more honest look to it, and I would go with them too from a business perspective, but otherwise it would be Starrcade.
They are the right 2 answers to a certain degree, and you've given all the reasons for it, but I didn't realize how much I wanted Starrcade back until you told me the perfect place it should go into. So Starrcade is going to be my answer. I told you, if you've watched this video the whole way through for the 22.5 minutes, you know now I'm nostalgic. I like my old school wrestling. I like seeing certain things come back. It's a concept for me, and Starrcade is one of the biggest. It was the biggest. It was the WrestleMania of WCW, and to bring into WWE and put it as NXT's biggest show of the year, it's a salute to the people, the legends of the past, and then it can be used as the proving ground for the superstars of the future. So for me, it gets the ultimate yes. And I didn't think I'd say that.
I thought you were going to say No Way Out.
It's the one disagreement of the whole video, but certainly it's got the bronze medal for me. I'll take the bronze for that one. But no, Starrcade all the way for me, and Taboo Tuesday probably falls in the second spot. But what do you all think watching? This is a new concept of the series. We've already got this series of should WWE bring this back for Survivor Series. You can check that in episode 1 out already, yes or no. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments below as well what you would say, yes or no, to these PLEs. I'll put them as the pinned comment on the video, and as well as that, then you can copy and paste it and get involved yourselves. And if you want to see more of this one, like an episode 2 of this, because this has been a lot of fun, let us know. I can easily come up with 10 more PLE names. It's very easy to do. WWE has retired a lot of them, so let us know and we can get involved and do another one for you. But NXSteve, thanks for being part of the video. It's been great to have you as always.
Dude, always a pleasure, man.
It's always good to have you on board, and always good to have you watching as well. Thank you all so much. Check out this video on the side of your screen right now. It is the episode 1 of Yes or No. Should WWE bring this back for Survivor Series? Take care.